and many other platforms where we provide entertainment services just for your liking. We appreciate you being here. A very, very busy Monday from a news standpoint. Yes, we have Michael Cohen still on the stand. Yes, the hush money trial still going on. We have more fallout for Harrison Butker. P. Diddy Combs is in a lot of trouble. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And the face of the Republican Party from a musician standpoint, if it's not Ted Nugent, it's Kid Rock. And he's hurling the N-word at a reporter who's interviewing him over the weekend. Folks, this is like crazy stuff. From a news standpoint, Louisiana seems to be the first state that will require public schools to display the Ten Commandments. Folks, I'm not making this up. This is actually a real story. And more fallout for Justice Alito. As we know, a U.S. flag was seen upside down in front of his house, a form of a protest. And, of course, Iran's president has been killed, what appears to be an accident in a helicopter crash. Wow, there's a lot to talk about today and a lot to get to on Monday. And, of course, the residential liberal of the Pushing the Limits radio show, Chris Wynn, also joining us in studio. Chris, you came on a very busy news day.
As always, right, Brian Shapiro, when it is Monday, there's always seems like there's something going down.
Yep.
And it's par for the course again, my friend. No pun intended for over the weekend, but hey, you got the number one player in the world getting arrested the last few days. You get, you get kickers going out there getting on their soapbox during commencement addresses. You got vice presidential candidates Brian Shapiro making laughing stocks of themselves on national TV. You got the smorgasbord of action that we're about to dive into when it comes to stories across all things sports, politics, and entertainment, my friend. And, of course, you got everything that's going on when I talk about entertainment with Sean Combs and that whole scenario, too, as well.
So we're definitely going to get to the sports aspect of things. Congratulations, by the way, to Xander Schauffele, who, in my estimation, was the best golfer in the world not to win a major. That changed over the weekend. Yes, we will give you an update on the Scotty Scheffler situation. There's just so much to talk about. I want to start with this story because, a lot of people on the far right, they latch on to, Kid Rock as a spokesperson for the Republican Party, as a musician. Same thing with Ted Nugent. The left has just about everybody else, the Bruce Springsteens of the world, pretty much everybody.
Interesting, too, those two people you named, right, Brian? Where do they happen to be from?
Well, they're
same state
they're trash.
As yours truly. Here.
I'm sorry, they're just
Michiganders.
Detroit, but they're trash.
Detroit,
not
guys.
Something to be proud of. But anyway, Kid Rock is in again. The right looks at this guy as the spokesperson for the Republican Party. Why? Well, probably a part of it has to do with his behavior over the weekend. A guy from the Rolling Stone was interviewing him over the weekend, and apparently he started drinking a little bit of alcohol in the middle of the interview. And I'm not making this up. This is a wild. A gun apparently was being waved around. He takes out a gun, and he starts hurling the N-word multiple times at the person that is interviewing him. This is according to the Rolling Stone. The outlet dropped this information. He was brandishing a firearm to the reporter, they say, dropping multiple racial slurs a number of times while talking about politics and the history of the Republican Party. Ladies and gentlemen, Kid Rock, a star within the Republican Party. He'll probably be making a speech at the Republican National Convention. Can you imagine if this happened on the other side? Like, can you imagine if one of the most high-profile people that happened to be a Democrat and supports Joe Biden said the N-word in an interview? The right would be going crazy. This is just, it's a crazy story. But this is who Kid Rock is. He's obviously not a very bright person. He's trash. He is trash. And, again, these are the types of people, Chris, that the Republican Party raises on a pedestal. The Donald Trumps of the world, the liable rapists, and the Kid Rocks of the world who have no problem calling reporters who are interviewing him the N-word. Imagine the things he says behind closed doors when there's not a camera or he's not being recorded. It's unbelievable.
Well, you posed the question. I'll answer it. If it was Democrats who are doing this, they would get absolutely lambasted, right? They would get destroyed across the board, not just by Republicans. All Republicans would be absolutely up in arms, right? And conservative media would be going nuts. But Democrats would be infuriated as well, too, right? The idea that you're as a white man in America can be uttering the N-word in any conversation, in any context, is unacceptable, all right? I'm not going to tell black Americans how to use their dialogue or whether or not they should be using words because there's a history there, particularly with that word when it comes to black Americans, and they'll handle it the way they want to handle it. But I'll speak for American white guys out there, Brian Shapiro. We shouldn't be saying the word in any context whatsoever, and particularly in an interview, particularly if you're asking, I don't care if you're an entertainer or not. Look, we say this all the time, right? We chastise people that want to say to athletes, just shut up and dribble, right? Or shut up and throw a football. Don't talk about politics. Well, there are times where athletes say things that we will criticize them for, but we should give them that platform. I'm not going to sit here and say that Kid Rock or anybody else shouldn't be able to have an opinion on politics. But you know what we're going to do, Brian Shapiro? We're going to criticize them when they say things that are ridiculous, when they say things that we can counter in 5 seconds and destroy them on. We are going to do that. All right. So I'm not going to sit back and say, Kid Rock, keep your mouth shut. You're just an entertainer. All right. But I will say this. You can speak your mind and you can have your opinions, but you and I are going to lay waste to you if those opinions are ridiculous and absurd.
Well, Kid Rock is a despicable human being. And again, these are the types of people that the far right put up on a pedestal that end up speaking. It's the Kyle Rittenhouses of the world, the McCloskeys. These are the kinds of people that the overwhelming majority of those on the far right seem to look up to. And Kid Rock is the poster child for that. Listen, there are people all over the world that seem to be I've never liked this guy before, but this is a story that is that involves Sean Puffy Diddy Combs, whatever the hell you want to call him. I've never liked him. I always thought he was a bad guy, a talentless idiot. And but this is a story that, I mean, I watched the video over the weekend of Puff Daddy in a hotel room. And it's very difficult to watch. And it reminded me of the Ray Rice situation a little bit in this aspect of his at the time, his girlfriend is trying to get away from him. And she's got her bag, and the video is out there. She's in the hotel hallway about to get on the elevator. She's trying to get away from him. And he's in a towel. Looks like he just got out of the shower. And he catches up to his girlfriend at the time and sucker punches her in the face. She falls to the ground. And as she's on the ground in pain, he kicks her multiple times. Only an animal would behave this way, not a human being. Domestic violence, to me, is one of the most serious, no matter whether you're a man or a woman who's the victim here, is one of the most serious crimes you could commit in our society. And I'll tell you something before I get to Chris Puffy's response, which we're going to play. I want to know who held on to this video. I want to know who held on to this evidence that Puff Daddy should be in jail, by the way. Why was it released now? Now, CNN obtained it recently. If CNN had obtained this video years back, he would have been arrested. The reason why he's not arrested now is because apparently too much time has passed, which is absurd. Who is at that hotel that held on to this evidence and didn't turn it over to authorities? They should also be held accountable criminally. But Chris, before I get your reaction to this horrible story, it's just horrible to watch. Puff Daddy is an animal who belongs behind bars and should never be in society ever again. Here is his pathetic response. Now, Diddy or Puff Daddy, whatever
Sean
the hell,
Combs.
whatever people want to call him.
That's how he's going to be referred to the rest of the way. Yeah.
So he's facing a lot of other allegations as well, by the way, and a bunch of civil lawsuits, because I also believe he's a rapist, a sexual abuser. He allegedly shot somebody in a bathroom. I mean, there are so many other things surrounding this guy. He's obviously crazy and mentally ill, but this was just really hard to watch in this 2016 hotel security video. He's in hiding right now in Miami, believed to be in Miami. This is the video that he put out over the weekend, and you want to talk about a BS apology, but here's what Sean Combs had to say.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. Disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, go into rehab. I had to ask God for his mercy and grace. so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. You're not asking for forgiveness. Well, here's a question. Why are you only apologizing publicly now, 8 years later? The only reason why you are is because there's a video that surfaced and it went public. Why didn't you apologize 8 years ago? I'm so sick of these people, too, that they always want to talk about God and they always want to talk about their religion when they do something that is just absolutely atrocious. Make no mistake about it. Sean Combs should be in jail for the next 20 years after this despicable act of beating his girlfriend at the time, now his ex. This is horrible to watch, Chris. It's difficult to watch. And that apology was a bunch of crap as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so here's where we're venturing into real territory that is Harvey Weinstein territory, Brian. What do I mean by that? Well, we're talking about someone in Sean Combs who's had basically over a 30-year career in the music industry, in the entertainment industry, and he has managed to get himself to a level where I'm going to absolutely positively put him in this category of Harvey Weinstein. Are they exactly the same charges or the exact same situation? Absolutely not. It's not. But some of the horrible details that have come to light, Brian, in the last, few weeks, and obviously there's a lot of discussion, a couple months back leading up to this as far as what exactly he was being charged with, right, when we had federal officials essentially ascending onto his properties, right? And there was all that stuff going on. There was a lot of speculation, but nobody really knew exactly what the details were until this video came out, which has kind of been the bombshell, right? And it's kind of opened the eyes of people across the country. And now everybody is obviously weighing in because it's someone who is at the level, like I said, of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Combs. That is something where you're 100% correct. If he is convicted in a court of law, which I believe that he will eventually be, of some of these horrific charges that he is facing, or things that it appears that he has done, then yes, I mean, absolutely, positively, we are in full agreement that he needs to be held accountable and justice needs to be served and it needs to be handled. And to me, I think, look, that apology there, way too little, way too late.
Yeah, well,
okay, that's exactly what that was.
He's a scumbag.
I will say this, and this is in no way, shape, or form defending Sean Combs in any way. But Harvey Weinstein, there was no remorse, right? With Harvey Weinstein, it was just, I was innocent. This is all BS, and now his big ass is sitting in prison for the rest of his life, probably, right? Sean Combs, I mean, at least there is some show of remorse. There's no way that he should be forgiven for some of these actions that he has been accused. Obviously, we're talking about specifically about this one video that's what he was responding to. But there's other stuff, yeah. Brian. I don't know if you know the situation. Apparently, Ellen DeGeneres has video that could possibly be severely incriminating for Sean Combs as well, too. There's other things out there that he is potentially, allegedly going to be exposed for.
It is
to round it out, I'll just say this. I think it's a horrific situation, quite honestly, and it is another situation of a guy who carved his way out to be a titan in the music industry who looks like he's about to take a terrible and rightful fall.
It is interesting that when these people are caught committing horrible crimes in some instances, then all of a sudden they want to talk about God and they want to, fake people, whether it be fake Christians, any type of fake religion. They want to point to that. Now, obviously, the Harrison Butker story, he didn't do anything criminal, nothing even close. It's just his words. But, I don't want to compare the two. But in the Harrison Butker situation, the fallout is pretty bad for him as well. In fact, the White House press secretary was asked, hey, you invited, the chiefs to the White House. Is Butker also invited? And she said yes, which I understand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Butker fallout continues. It's so interesting because over the weekend, I'm battling people as I normally do on social media. And I am amazed, even in 2024, the amount of people that are backing Harrison Butker. Now, first of all, the Laura Ingrams of the world, the racist evil witches out there, I'm not shocked that you're going to defend this guy and hide behind your bigotry with your religion. But the argument that they always want to make is, well, he has the right to say that, freedom of speech. There's nobody out there that's saying he doesn't have the right to say it. That's not the issue. Yes, in a commencement speech, you can say whatever you want. That's not the argument. The reason why so many people are appalled, as am I, by the things that he said, forget about even the things he said about the women, how they should really take a back seat to the man and be masculine if you're a man. He also attacked the entire LGBTQ community and said anybody who celebrates gay pride parades are death sinners. That is the definition of a bigot. And if you're going to use the excuse of, well, that's what my religion tells me, being a Catholic, then you're a coward and you're using your bigotry and you're using your religion as an excuse for your bigotry. I'm getting into it with people, and it's really disappointing that anybody out there would defend this human piece of crap. That's who Harrison Butker is. If he wants to believe what he believes in, fine. I think he's a complete bigot. I've been very clear on that. And by the way, I'm not the only person that feels that way. There's a lot of prominent people that have come forward. So, Chris, we went to the Pearl Jam show last week. Pearl Jam did 2 shows in Las Vegas. I am a big Eddie Vedder fan. He does speak out on social issues, and this caught TMZ, and this made national news. When you have Eddie Vedder speaking about this subject, it's going to make news. Chris, listen to what Eddie Vedder on the stage in Las Vegas on Saturday had to say about Harrison Butker.
You can see the kicker because he doesn't have the pads because he doesn't attack anybody or get attacked. But you know, he was telling men to don't forget to puff up your chest and be more masculine. Don't lose your masculinity. The irony was that when he was saying that, he looked like such a There's nothing more masculine than a strong man supporting a strong woman. Take that.
Amen, Eddie Vedder. You are 150% correct. I appreciate the fact that he is not only on the right side of this issue, but many other issues. And we should, Eddie Vedder is 100% correct. You know, a strong man is somebody that supports a strong woman. Now, listen, if there are women out there that think, you know, their place is to, you know, stay in the kitchen and just be a mom, don't worry about that career, then you are entitled to that opinion. But don't you say that every other woman should feel that way. By the way, you can do both. Don't say that every other woman should put their, forget about your careers. You're being lied to, which is the term that Harrison Butker said. It's so
diabolical
absurd.
lies, by the way.
It's
not
so
just lied to.
dumb.
Diabolical, my friend.
And by the way, the nun organization at this university had put out a statement already against what Harrison Butker says. What does that say? I don't understand these people in our society that are saying they're now a bigger fan of Harrison Butker. I mean, again, we're forgetting even the attacks that he puts on the gay community. Yeah. The definition of a bigot.
Oh, by the way, on Jewish Americans too. By the way, Brian,
sure.
I don't know if you missed that or not. I'm sure you didn't miss it with respect to his comments regarding killing Jesus, right? And who got the blame for that? So, look, I haven't chimed in on this. You talked about this for a few days on your show. Obviously, the Harrison Butker stuff was back last week. And let's be abundantly crystal clear here, Brian. There's no comparison to Sean Combs and his situation and Harrison Butker's situation. They're totally different situations, okay? And, you know, you tend to get a little strong sometimes when you're talking about, you say, you know, Harrison Butker is, you know, you think a piece of trash human being. Look, I disagree with him on his viewpoints when it comes to this issue. I don't necessarily going to go that far and say he's a piece of trash human being. He is an evangelical American. He is someone who is basically a Christian fundamentalist, okay? And yet you posed the question again, I'll answer it, okay? You said, I don't understand why there's so many people that you had to battle with over the weekend. Brian Shapiro had to battle with when it came to this issue of Harrison Butker and the commencement speech. And it's because there are other evangelicals out there that tried to find every positive thing about his speech, right? They tried to point out, oh, he didn't mean to be bigoted towards the LGBTQ community. He didn't mean to to basically put women back in the kitchen like it was the 1950s. He was just saying that he thinks it's better in America if traditional families are more appreciated. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to twist his words into meaning what it is they want him to have believed. But that's not what he said. What he did in that commencement speech. And look, I'm going to bounce a couple things off you, Brian. I want some responses. So when you're in that time and place, right, Brian Shapiro? What's a commencement speech supposed to be about? What's it supposed to be about, Brian Shapiro?
Well, I would say, number one, first of all, it's supposed to be honoring those that have graduated, that are looking further in their life for their careers. It's supposed to be about honoring them. It shouldn't be about some bigot's personal opinions on a woman's place and how she should feel or think. If somebody has feelings like that or feels that way, then have a conversation with friends at a bar or whatever the case may be. But a commencement place is probably the worst possible place that he could have made those statements. I don't care. And I want to say something else. Hold on.
I asked you a question because I want to respond to your response.
Let me just say one thing. Let me just say one other thing about what you said. So I don't care whether somebody characterizes themselves as an evangelical. I don't care what religion you're from. I don't care what you call yourself or what you claim your religion tells you. Well, guess what? My religion tells me, this is the Brian Shapiro religion, that if you take a group of people and you judge them because they are different from you, whether it's the color of their skin or their sexuality in this case,
or their gender.
Or their gender,
yes.
Correct. And you judge them, then you are a bigot. And I could care less whether you call yourself an evangelical. I don't care what your religion is. That is the definition of a bigot. And yes, if you are a bigot and you judge people based on religion, sexual orientation, gender, then you are a piece of crap. Harrison Butker is a piece of crap.
Okay, so we get your point. Okay, we get your point. Okay, so but circling back here. Okay, so yes, you were correct when you said about commencement speeches. Commencement speeches are being about what? You're supposed to be about a beacon of positivity, right, guys? Anytime that there's been a commencement speech, it's about, okay, we're sending people off into the real world, right? It's a transition in life. It's an opportunity for you to express positivity onto those students who are making that transition to go into the real world, right? You're going from college into actually having to have responsibilities and actually being an adult, right? That's what it's about. So yes, you're going to be a bright, shining beacon on a hill. You have so much opportunity in front of you. That is the theme that are in commencement speeches. What are things that you should not be diving into when you're giving commencement speeches? You're not supposed to be getting on your soapbox and giving your personal political views. And as you just pointed out, basically narrowing genders or people that happen to be, of the LGBTQ community, right? And minimizing those people or marginalizing those people in speeches and talking down to them. That's not what you're supposed to be doing at a commencement speech. Let me tell you something, all right? As much as I disagree with Harrison Butker, and I think he's an idiot when it comes, and I think he has very little self-awareness and doesn't have a real good perspective of what the real world is, all right? I would have had no problem if he would have had some of these comments. I'm going to say all of them because the diabolical lie stuff and all that stuff was BS. But a lot of his views that, yes, are evangelical, okay? If he was speaking at TPS USA, right, or speaking at CPAC or one of those, or I'll do even better, Brian Shapiro, if he was in church, right, and he was on the pulpit talking to his fellow Catholics, right, and talking about how he thinks it's important for the family to stay together, right? It's important that there's a mother and father in the household. It's important, that the family get back to traditional family values. I would have had no problem with it, okay? The problem is time and place, as I pointed out at the top of this take. All right? You're at a commencement speech where there's young women there who you single out and say that your most important thing in your life is going to be having babies and being a homemaker. And he was extra judgmental in that fashion, and he was judgmental about a bunch of other things we already reiterated with the LGBTQ stuff and the anti-Semitic stuff. I thought it was anti-Semitic, what he was saying. And other Jewish people, by the way, have pointed out that it was anti-Semitic. But the point being is that was not the time and place to have that type of speech and to talk about that kind of things. And that's why, Brian, That's why he was getting a ton of pushback and heat and getting blasted and lambasted in the last 4 or 5 days. It wasn't because, oh, it's free speech and he should be able to say whatever he wants. Yeah, that goes without saying. We're in America. You can say whatever you want to say, but that does not keep you from being absolutely positively criticized and hammered for the things that you say. And he said some things that were pretty outrageous and pretty ridiculous and pretty nonsensical.
So you are getting some comments, Chris.
Yeah.
Carissa says Chris needs to take some long, deep breaths. I recommended meditation.
I saw that. Carissa Shapiro, is that or Sharp? Carissa Sharp.
And we have another comment that says, let's see, let me go to it. I just got a message.
We get the point.
Chris,
so yes, I get very excited for the 2 hours that I'm here on the air. And Brian, you don't have to explain it. I'm reading the same comments.
I know.
Too.
You just interrupted me. Then.
Okay. Well, I do it all the time.
Yeah, you do.
When I need to.
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Well, I guess. Go ahead. So what were you gonna say again?
Another comment, Chris.
Put another comment. Okay.
Can I talk?
I mean, I guess.
I mean, it's up to you. If you want to keep talking, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and look at you.
Hey, well, you're very good at that.
I am.
Okay.
I am. All right. Another comment said Chris loves to ramble. I definitely agree with that.
Rambling. By the way, it's not rambling. By the way, folks,
by the
way,
saying
that I'm rambling,
by the way,
if you're saying that I'm rambling, now I am rambling.
By the way, I
gotta combat that. What I just said in the past 5 minutes, right? It probably went on a 5-minute rant, right?
By the way,
everything I said is legitimate. If you have a problem with anything that I said and you think that I was just quote unquote rambling, then feel free to call in and you can tell me what I was quote unquote rambling about. But I was making very valid points about the situation with Harrison Butker.
Why don't you take a deep breath? Can we meditate?
I'm fine right now. I'm fine.
Go in and
take
a deep breath.
See, look, we're both professionals here, my friend.
Well,
We've both been in radio for a long time.
That's debatable.
We do it a little bit differently.
That's debatable.
I'm a little bit more, straightforward about it. But
you're
whatever.
right. You're right. You're right.
Okay, so whatever.
You're right.
So yes,
I'm not straightforward.
Okay, so I can take a breath though. Yes, I can take a breath.
What?
But I can also not take a breath. I can keep talking.
Are you on drugs today?
Absolutely not. No.
Take a deep breath.
Absolutely not. Okay, so what do we want to talk
exhale.
about? And by the way, we're kind of all over the place here. We went from P. Diddy.
No, you're all over the place.
No, we literally are. The reason why I said it is because it's true. We went from Kid Rock to P. Diddy to now we transition because P. Diddy talked about God, so you start talking about.
Well, anyway, we'll be back.
All over the place.
We're gonna have to.
We have like 3 different topics we're discussing right now.
Yes, we'll be back to the Chris Wynn show in a little bit. But Chris, I want you to inhale and exhale a little bit.
I'm fine.
Can we do some meditation on the air live right now?
You're not qualified to do that, are you?
Oh,
Wait, time out. Numchuck. Brian Shapiro talking about meditation, dude. You're as wired as I am when it comes to this stuff.
I mean,
you're like the king of hot takes when it comes to
We'll
stuff.
take some phone calls on this, and we'll find out who's more wired today. We'll take
today,
some,
maybe. Look, I'm here 2 hours a week.
Close your eyes.
That's fine.
Close your eyes.
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Close your eyes.
Calm down.
I want you to do some meditation.
I'm fine.
Can you,
I don't do meditation.
All right,
It's not my thing.
Can you do it for 10 seconds?
Remember the guy from
we do
Sopranos?
10 seconds of meditation.
When
here's what I want you to do.
When Richie Aprile asks him if he does,
he won't let me.
If he does meditation, he says, "What are you crazy?"
He won't let me.
I'm looking at you, Brian Shapiro. You're not even listening to me right now. You're just
because you're rambling again. You're not listening.
I'm not rambling. I was bringing up a specific.
All right.
You remember when Richie Aprile talked about meditation in The Sopranos?
Yes,
okay, so that's.
Yes, I do.
I'm not just rambling about that.
Will you engage?
I don't meditate. Yes.
All right, just try. Just close your eyes for 5 seconds.
I'm not good at it.
Can you try?
Okay, so again, this is where I have to explain to him that we're live on the radio right now.
Yeah, I know
we're doing a radio show.
Here's what I think would work.
I'm not going to stop and just.
All right, you don't have to do this, but here's what I would.
I'm not going to. So
okay, you don't have to, but here's what I would recommend you do. That I think
you
would
can make recommendations,
down.
Doctor. Dr. Shapiro, what should I do?
If I can get a sentence,
what should I do, Doctor?
If he'll allow me to speak for 10 seconds uninterrupted.
Go ahead.
What I would do is at night, before you go to sleep, I would tell you to sit in your bed, close your eyes, and think of Evan Stone naked, and I think that'll calm you down.
Again,
yeah.
With the terrible comedy, man.
Yeah,
Numchuck.
Terrible.
He's killing me over.
All right, here's
killing me. Bad comedy.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. In all seriousness, we'll be back to the Chris Wynn show in a moment. But here's what I do want to talk about when we come back, and maybe Chris will do some meditating, and maybe he'll take my advice. I don't know. Yeah. But in all seriousness, in Louisiana, this is crazy. And again, it's coming from the far right. They're going to be requiring in the state all public schools that receive public funding display the 10 Commandments at all public schools in Louisiana. Why? Well, we could thank Donald Trump for that one. I'll explain that for you when we come back. And Justice Alito, more fallout for this upside-down U.S. flag. And like many right-wing cowards like the Ted Cruzes of the world who blame his family, that's exactly what Justice Alito is doing. He's blaming his wife. We'll get to that when we come back, and we'll also take some phone calls. 702-221-7283. Again, the number to call, 702-221-7283. We'll take some phone calls on the other side. Who do you think is more wired today, me or Chris Wynn? And would you also agree with me that maybe something that can get Chris to calm down would be to maybe think of Donald Trump without his shirt on? I think that might calm Chris down a little bit. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. All right. Fair enough. No meditation or not. We'll find out when we come
I like
back.
how you had the music playing behind your entire outro to the segment right here.
Well, we're doing that for you.
Notch.
We're doing it for you because we care about you. That's why. We think you're a little high-strung today. That's all.
I'm high-strung every day.
Yeah. Joe Walsh, by the way, went on social media and he said you were a little loud. He did say that.
Well,
he said you were a little loud. But that's
because
okay.
I was.
It's Joe Walsh. Yeah. All right, we'll take a quick break.
It's Joe Walsh. Yeah, he's just another guy.
Maybe I'll just buy Chris Wynn a massage today. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with phone calls on the other side. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Residents of Las Vegas, Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your people's choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate. I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
My name is Kola Akimbade. I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas. As mayor, we will offset the off-season by diversifying our economy, bringing technology, high-paying jobs, and strengthening our entertainment industry. In order to tackle this issue of homelessness, we need new money because the budget will never be enough. Therefore, we will legalize prostitution and tax money will flow. Today, go to our website, Kola, K-O-L-A, kolaformayor.com, and my phone number, 725-263-2660. Support our campaign and donate today. Again, kolaformayor.com at 725-263-2660. My name is Kola Akimbade, and I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas.
Feeling the flame flicker in your relationship? Craving an unforgettable night to reignite the spark? Obox presents a romantic soiree just for couples at the luxurious Paymon's Fresh Kitchen and Lounge. 3 wishes granted for only $2.99. Indulge in a decadent Levantine feast that includes drinks, appetizers, and dessert. Explore the art of touch with a couple's massage workshop and unleash your inner dancer with a captivating, interactive belly dancing performance. You'll also receive a complimentary Obox gift set valued at $169. Limited spots available. Reserve your unforgettable experience for May 25th at obox.com. OBOXXX.com. Unleash the magic. Reignite the spark.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. I think Chris just did a little bit of meditation. Welcome back to the show, the Chris Wynn Show today, also known as PTL.
Well, it is kind of we're co-hosting with you today, so
yes,
it's kind of the Chris Wynn Brian Shapiro Show on Mondays.
I agree. I'm just going to name the show the Chris Wynn Show.
Yeah,
I think I'm. Hey, I've
well,
been
you don't have to name the Chris Wynn Show.
No, I think.
By the way, you got a cool. Wait, time out. You got a cool new logo.
Yeah.
You got a cool name of the show. All right.
No.
It doesn't have Brian Shapiro in the show, but that's fine.
It's
you know,
the
you don't
Show.
have your name in the show, but that's fine.
Can I do my live read?
Yeah. Wait, time out.
Am I allowed?
You're throwing. You're
do you want to
tossing stuff over at me.
Yeah.
You're tossing shade at me, and you don't want me to respond.
You want to do the live read?
No, you can do it.
No, I actually
That's
want
fine.
you to do it.
Well, I'm very good at it.
Here you go.
Yes, I'm very good at doing live reads.
It's the
right?
It's the Chris Wynn
And
Show.
folks out in Las Vegas, if you want to head to some premier air conditioning facilities and companies here, definitely check out VIP Pioneer Air, a new frontier in clean air. VIP Pioneer receives scheduled maintenance, dedicated hotlines, repair discounts, extended warranties, all things when it comes to getting the best AC in your homes or businesses, folks, across the Vegas Valley. A new frontier in clean air. Call them at 702-703-6346 or info@pioneerairlv.com. That's VIP Pioneer membership. Listen to the show, by the way, a lot. Brian does give out opportunities for you to get, coupons, I believe, right, Brian?
Yes.
When it comes to Pioneer Air.
Yes.
And they can actually go and actually do checkups as far as your air conditioning system and make sure everything is on the up and up and working well.
All right,
So
not an average.
Yes, that's how the professionals do it, Brian.
I'd give you a C, average.
C.
Yeah, it was a little long.
Spur of the moment.
And it's not VIP.
Basically
Pioneer Air.
ad-libbed the whole way along.
It's Pioneer Air, not VIP Pioneer Air. And yes, you are right about the gift certificate. That's why I'm giving you a C, not a C minus. You receive up to $150 in a VIP membership for up to a year if you call their number. All right, not a bad job, Chris. So there's a couple stories, again, that involve the far right that I wanted to bring up today. Listen, we can talk about Michael Cohen. We'll get to that a little bit later in testimony on the stand today in the last couple days. But Louisiana now, it appears as though they're going to be the first state requiring a display of the Ten Commandments in all public schools. Now, this is absurd, obviously. And lawmakers in other states like Texas, South Carolina, and Utah have recently attempted similar legislation. This is efforts to require the Ten Commandments to be displayed that began after the Supreme Court rulings in cases like Kennedy versus Bremerton School District indicated a looser interpretation of the Constitution's Establishment Clause. And again, these are far-right people on the Supreme Court. I don't see why the Ten Commandments. First of all, I think we should just leave religion and the Ten Commandments and all this stuff out of public schools, period. And these are the same people that are saying, our children are being indoctrinated. The teachers are telling all the kids to be gay and transgender. Now, listen, all those Butkers, I'm getting Butkered. I'm just going to use that word on this show. Now, all the Butkers out there that feel that way are idiots, okay? Our children are not being indoctrinated. Drag queens aren't ruining society. You want to ban every single book out there, but you don't want to do anything about healthcare. You don't want to do anything about gun control, and you want to tell a woman what to do with their body. Welcome to the Republican Party in 2024. This is absurd. It's nonsense, and no part of religion should ever be involved in the public school district. And yes, I don't think anything sexually graphic in nature should be as well. But the Ten Commandments, let me be very clear on this. The people who want the Ten Commandments displayed in public schools are the same people who vote for Donald Trump, who has broken every commandment pretty much. I mean, it's so absurd and it's so hypocritical. It's ridiculous.
So, Brian, let me play devil's advocate here because I spoke to one of our buddies who has a lot of bad takes when it comes to all things social issues and political issues. So I won't mention his name. But this is the first thing that he said to me when I talked to him and was informed by him, by the way, that we were going to talk about this issue on the show today. He said to me this, Brian, I'm going to ask you the same question. Is it so bad to have the 10 Commandments on the walls in public schools in America, or any schools in America for that matter? Is it so bad? Is it a bad thing, Brian?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
I would answer it with a question. Is it so bad to have a gay pride flag in a public school? The same people that don't want gay pride flags are the people that have no problem with Confederate flags. Let me tell you something. Religion should have no place in politics, and it should have no place in our public school system. If you want to bring your kid to a private school where they preach about how bad gay people are and they talk about God and Christianity, and you want to get butthurt, go ahead. Go to that private school. You can do whatever the hell you want. If you bring your kids to a public school, they shouldn't be forced to look at the 10 Commandments every day and talk about religion every day. You want to talk about indoctrination? This is indoctrination. That's my answer.
Well, make no mistake about it, right? When it comes to public schools in America, there are kids there that are not Christians, right? There are kids there that are Muslims. There's kids there that are Jewish. There's kids there that could be a number of different faiths. So the idea, here's what the rub is on this entire situation in Louisiana, right? And this entire story, Brian. It's that they're being required to be in the building, required to be on the walls. That is what those of us who are in their right mind out there have an issue with, all right? I wouldn't have a problem necessarily if you got some small towns in Louisiana, you got a lot of evangelicals in those towns. They want to have the 10 Commandments on the wall in the public schools. Not going to have a huge problem with it, okay? Not necessarily going to have a huge problem with it. But the idea that there's going to be legislation and it's going to be required to be in schools, Brian Shapiro, here it is, Chris Wynn getting all, stammering a little bit here and, getting all cracked up and on speed like a lot of the messengers are saying on the web here. All right, being required is ridiculous. As you pointed out, it is completely absurd that you're going to require public schools to have one entity of a symbol of Christianity in the schools at all. Is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. So Senator Royce Duplessis out of New Orleans, a Democrat, has it right. Said, I didn't have to learn the 10 Commandments in school. You want your kids to learn about the 10 Commandments, then take them to church. Absolutely correct. I mean, this is ridiculous. And again, while all this is going on, then we have to talk about another right-wing Supreme Court justice. No, I'm not talking about Clarence Thomas and his nutty wife. Now we're talking about Justice Alito. This upside-down U.S. flag, I'm sure you've heard about the story that he had in front of his house. Guess the excuse he's making up. Same excuse that Ted Cruz made when he went to Cancun. Cancun Cruz, remember that, when his state was in an emergency and he went with his wife and his kids to Cancun and he blamed his family and he blamed his kids. Well, that's what a coward does. I wonder if Butker would find this the definition of masculinity. Guess who Alito blamed? He blamed his wife. That's right. He said, well, it's his wife. It's my wife. I had absolutely nothing to do with it. Yeah, I'm sure. You live in the same house, you moron. And you're telling me you were okay with that? You're a Supreme Court justice, and you're basically saying that the election was stolen, you stupid fool. And you're a Supreme Court justice. Thomas and Alito and Kavanaugh and these right-wing morons who want to tell women what to do with their bodies. They want to hang flags upside down in front of their homes. Trump won the election in 2020. You're a Supreme Court justice. And then we wonder why we have all these screwy laws, or they're leaving it up to the states like what happened in Arizona or Alabama, because we have idiots like Justice Alito. He's an idiot. Clarence Thomas is an idiot. His wife is an idiot. Okay? They're InfoWars morons are what they are, who probably watch Newsmax all day. Oh, yeah, by the way, I did catch a little bit of Newsmax over the weekend. I got to say, it's a comedy
you actually
show.
watched that garbage outlet?
I wanted to laugh. I wanted to
Yeah,
laugh,
okay,
and I watched it for like 4 or 5 minutes, and I did laugh multiple times because they saw all this Trump paraphernalia. It's unbelievable. But anyway, Justice Alito is an embarrassment. Clarence Thomas is an embarrassment. Brett Kavanaugh and his love of beer. I mean, these are really despicable people. And it's not because I have a difference of opinion of them when it comes to politics. It's because what they are doing is they are basically saying to the American people, the 2020 election was stolen. We don't believe in democracy. We want to tell women what to do with their bodies. I mean, what kind of dictatorship are we living in? And we have a Supreme Court justice that has a flag upside down. What would the right say if somebody that was a Supreme Court justice had an anti-Trump flag in their front yard? What would they say if Brown or some of these Supreme Court justices that are on the left did something like that? What would they say? What would they do? it would be talked about and led on the Sean Hannity show, on the Evil Racist Witch, also known as the Laura Ingraham show, Charlie Kirk. They'd be leading with it. But if Alito has a flag upside down in his front yard, oh, no, nothing to see here. He said his wife did it. It's not his fault. It's a joke.
Well, Brian, especially you just brought up the word leading, right? The idea of Supreme Court justices, especially, that the situation is they lead with their politics, right? When you're supposed to be on the Supreme Court, and by the way, in that profession at all, you're not supposed to be making judgments from a legal standpoint based on your political bias. And there's already been numerous instances in the Supreme Court in which that has absolutely positively taken place. Now, we're all grown adults. We all know that that's not really the case, that they're human beings and that they're going to have political biases and they're probably going to make decisions based on that. But they're not even trying to play the game anymore. They're not even trying to cover it up. They're just basically, we understand now, Brian Shapiro, that we are, when it comes to the Supreme Court, it is the minority of this country that is running the majority. It is the minority that has control over American legislation, essentially, down the line, and the justice system based on biases on the right. Because the Supreme Court is a heavy, conservative and right-wing court when it comes to their ideals and their politics. And so, unfortunately, because of Donald Trump being elected in 2016, and now there's, 3 justices that have swung the court that way, we are going to be stuck in that for a number of years because it's going to be the minority ruling the majority in this country.
Let's see what you think out there. Number to call, 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. Should the 10 Commandments be in all public schools across the country? What do you think about Justice Alito with a U.S. flag upside down in front of his house, then blaming his wife like the coward that he is? What do you think? Again, the number to call, 702-221-7283. Let's see, who should we start off here? Let's start off with Mark. Mark is first up on PTL. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Mark. Are you there, Mark?
Yep, go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Yep, good afternoon.
I think that a true conservative, liberals, Republicans, and I'm not a majority of all those groups should understand and should be on the side of stating something that the Supreme Court at this time is a complete fraud. Mm-hmm. No one can trust the Supreme Court on any decisions they make from now on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's nothing really we can do about it. I mean, this is
absolutely. Now, here's where I'm going to put the blame on the Democrats. If somehow they are able to hold the Senate and they grab the House of Representatives and they take the presidency, which they can. I don't see it like far-fetched. If they do not add at least 2 to 3 Supreme Court judges to the court, then I will be deeply disappointed with them because the crap that these MAGAs are doing and all these clown conservatives are doing is
I agree, and I think that's a very, very fair criticism, Joseph, and I'm sorry, Mark, and I do appreciate your phone call, and you're right. But the bottom line here is the reason why we had what took place in Arizona with the abortion issue, even though it was overturned, the reason why we had what took place in Alabama is because of one person. Yes, I understand the conservative Supreme Court justices voted to overturn Roe versus Wade. I get that. But it's because of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Let us not forget that and remember that when you go to the voter booth in November. 702.
And you pointed out, Brian, he's being critical of something that he thinks is going to happen in the future, right?
Sure.
So, for example, if the Democrats do get back the House and the Senate, right, and there is some ability to what's been called is stack the court, right? Essentially add more people on the Supreme Court as justices. Sure. The idea being that Democrats, if they're in control, will obviously add justices that lean left, right, or that are Democrats or that have a Democrat history, and so therefore it more accurately represents the United States of America. But you said he's being critical of something that hasn't happened yet, right?
Yeah.
So.
All right, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Patrick. Patrick is next on PTL. Hello, Patrick.
I'm with you. These Supreme Court justices, I don't know, man. You got a judge that don't even know what a woman is. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, don't hang up. Don't hang up and be a coward. Stay on the line. Yeah, exactly. Another coward who does. Hey, Patrick, you're a coward. When you call into this show and you have your take, you don't hang up the phone. You should be willing to engage somebody that disagrees with you. But like the coward that you are and the pea brain that you are. Yeah. By the way, if you're talking about the Supreme Court justice who was asked define a woman or a man.
Justice Jackson.
Yeah. You're talking about Justice Jackson. That is an inappropriate question to ask somebody who is not a doctor, and it shouldn't have to answer that question.
It was a gotcha question.
Yeah, it's a stupid question to begin with, and you're an idiot for calling into this show, making a stupid comment, and then hanging up the phone like a coward that you are because you don't have the brain capacity to have a debate or discussion with anybody. Have a nice day, bro. 702-221-7283. Who are we going to next year? I'll let you decide here. Give it to me. Let's go to Susan. Susan is next on PTL. What's up, Susan?
Hi, Susan.
Hi. I just wanted to talk about the 10 Commandments in the classroom.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
You know, with a public school, that should be illegal because of the constitutional.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Separation of church and state.
Guess what? I'm glad you brought that up because you're right. Duplessis, who is the Democrat out of New Orleans, noted that the bill is likely to earn some legal challenges defending which could require valuable state resources, and there are other legal issues. So, Susan, you're right. These far-right Republicans are trying to do whatever they can do to try to make sure that the 10 Commandments are in every public school. Make no mistake about it. If Republicans in office today, the overwhelming majority of them, had their way, they're going to tell people like you what to do with your bodies. They'd probably have a mandatory Sunday church session. They don't want mandatory gun training or anything like that, but they would have mandatory religious training. If they had it their way, they think it's more important to go to church than gun safety. These nut jobs on the right.
I do find it interesting, too, that the one state in which this has been enacted, right, or it's been trying to push forward happens to be the state that Mike Johnson is from, right, the Speaker of the House, who himself is absolutely a Christian fundamentalist and evangelical. So I do find that very interesting, guys.
Yeah, these evangelicals that support a liable rapist, they're just wonderful. They have wonderful role models. And I'm telling you, the people that they look up to, like the Kid Rocks of the world who hurl the N-word at reporters interviewing them, I'm telling you, Kid Rock is a star within the Republican Party. If he ran for office, probably as many people would vote for him as they are Donald Trump. It's a despicable party in 2024.
It is.
Yep.
My grandfather is rolling over in his grave as he was a Republican statesman, and politics didn't enter into it for him.
It's a sad state of affairs that we're in now, Susan, but all we got to do is conquer them in the voter booth in November, and I appreciate your phone call, madame. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Nellie. Let's go to Nellie next. Huh?
Nellie, what's up?
You don't want to go to Nellie next? Okay, we'll go to Joseph next.
Oh, go to Joseph first? Okay.
He's in charge of the button, so I got to do what he says. Let's go to Joseph. What's up, Joseph?
Yeah, hey, Brian. All right, first about the Supreme Court Judge Alito.
Yeah.
Having that flag upside down, I think that's disrespectful to the American flag, as always. And not to mention, that's the problem with the Supreme Court right now. You got those judges who are, I think there's 3 of them, who are appointed by Trump, and they don't care what people say about the flag.
Yeah. You know, can I just add something? You just made a good point about an upside down flag being disrespectful to the American flag, but yet those same people that were attacking Colin Kaepernick, and still do, by the way, any black athlete who takes a knee during the national anthem, oh, you're disrespecting the country, you hate America. But when a Supreme Court justice puts a flag upside down in the front of their house, complete silence. These people are some of the biggest buffoons ever. Joseph, I do appreciate your phone call. Thank you very much.
You can't keep up, right, Brian Shapiro, when it comes to the hypocrisy all across the board. I mean, it just seems like every 5 seconds, Republicans and MAGA especially are hypocrites across the board.
Yeah.
You jump on the Occupy Democrats text line, Brian Shapiro, and I mean, Donald Trump, I mean, the idea that the 10 Commandments, right, and evangelicals support Donald Trump. Donald Trump has broken like every commandment that there is out there, and probably others that aren't even commandments that should be on there that aren't on there. You know what I mean? Like, it's so
but
absurd.
Hey, hold on, though. To
But what?
defend Donald Trump, he did say over the weekend he won 30 club championships. Very, very exciting stuff.
Didn't he have doesn't he have 16 hole-in-ones in his life too, I think?
What an incredible golfer he is.
The guy's great on the links, Shapiro.
Yeah.
Maybe better than you.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
That'll happen. 702-221-7. He's got a bigger chest than I have. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Rocky. Rocky is next on PTL. What's up, Rocky?
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rocky.
I am, I guess, what can you say except that the saga continues?
Yes.
This whole Republican Party is just so whacked out. And this new one, they want the Ten Commandments plastered all over, huh?
Yeah. You know what I think?
Well, put up in classrooms.
Well, here's what I think
they
we
want
should
it on
do.
the walls.
I think liberals or Democrats
I
think anti-Trump people should be able to put up their own 10 commandments. I'd start with they'll shall not raw dog a porn star and then pay her $130,000. Show that to kids. Let's make our own 10 commandments and put that in public schools. I'd be okay with that.
It's just, they're tromping all over one of the basic tenets of democracy, and that is separation of church and state.
Exactly. They can't do it. They're not capable. And then did you see this idiot Lauren Boebert? She's wearing her cross and the wholesome Christian that she is while she performs sex acts at Beetlejuice. I mean, they are the biggest hypocrites in the world. These people are the worst. People should just call her Beetlejuice every time they see her now. She's such a disgrace, man. These people are so, by the way, I will say this though, calling Marjorie Taylor Greene, or at least stating that she has a butch body is probably one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was.
But Rocky, I'll pose this to you, Rocky, and to Brian. Let's play the what if game. What if you did this? What if Muslims, there was predominantly Muslim community in America, right, where they wanted to put into their public schools, quotes from the Quran up on the walls across the country, in certain Muslim, Muslim heavy areas of the United States, right?
Yep.
What would you think they would be doing? They'd be going ballistic, right? They'd be going nuts.
Yep.
So
I have another commandment. Hold on. I thought thou shall not put on more than 4 layers of orange turd makeup by waking up in the morning. Joe, thanks for calling him, Rocky. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Rocky.
I'm glad I gave Rocky a laugh there. Sometimes sometimes I can be funny.
Numbchuck, if we're being honest, if we're grading that as far as a joke, it's not. It still wouldn't be there, my friend.
Hey, I'm just trying.
But you keep trying.
All right.
Keep trying.
All right.
We're rooting for you.
If you're just joining us,
for you, Ryan.
If you're just joining us, it's the Chris Wynn Show. 702-221-7283. One phone line open. Let's go to Rebecca. Rebecca is next up on PTL. What's up, Rebecca?
Hi, Brian. I actually have 2 or 3 statements.
Sure.
The Supreme Court does not make law.
No, but
the Supreme Court makes interpretations of the Constitution.
Correct.
So if they make an interpretation of the Constitution, we as Americans need to stand up against what we don't believe them to be correct on.
I agree.
Period.
I agree. Arizona is a perfect example of that. The only issue that I have, Rebecca, is that these crazy Supreme Court justices in states have the right to make things law, and that's where I have a problem.
But the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Courts, do they make law or do they make interpretations?
They can do both.
It's the people.
They can do.
It's the people. Okay, go ahead.
They can do both.
Sorry, I get it.
No, that's quite all right.
No, we understand. We understand your point you're trying to make, and we get. Look, we understand. We understand how politics works and the government works. It's a legislative branch, right, that makes the laws. But let's not try to minimize the Supreme Court and act like, well, they don't have any say, right, or they don't have any impact. Okay, no. They absolutely, positively have an impact with respect to American society and how things are able to get moved forward. Yeah.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, I understand that, Chris.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm just saying, in my opinion, a lot of the problem is that people don't understand that. And so with the Colorado baker, the guy that says, I don't want to do LGBTQ.
Right, yes.
And he got his rights because his cakes were artistic works of art.
Yeah.
Okay. He sat there and he got what he wanted against Colorado law because Colorado has laws to not discriminate
Yeah.
against LGBTQ
By the way,
people.
you're right. I did hear a rumor though that they changed the name of that place to the Bigot Bakery. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard somebody had told.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, they let him have his way over LGBTQ Americans because he does artistic work. It's an freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But he's not allowing for the freedom of expression for LGBTQ people who come in his bakery.
No, you're right. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, and I do agree with you, and I appreciate the phone call. Let's hope that the people do not allow these certain types of situations to happen, especially in public schools. Forcing kids to look at the 10 Commandments, give me a frickin' break. But telling kids it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be who you are, that's terrible. But let's force the 10 Commandments down their throat. Meanwhile, we support Cheeto Jesus. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Fernando's next. What's up, Fernando?
Hey, Fernando.
Yeah, hey guys. So now I guess Chris Wynn has two shows.
Yeah.
One on Sunday night at 10 o'clock, Keyway Sports, and then he's got this one now. So wow.
Yeah, Fernando, you're two shows short, my friend. I got other shows too that I jump on. Also, you're behind, my friend. You know the deal. Come on. But yes,
I can only listen to you so much, and then I got to go.
Me too.
With Harrison Butker.
Yeah.
What did the college say about this? What did the president or the administration say?
They've been silent.
The college is hand off, right?
Hands
off, right?
So the only group of people were the nuns. I'm forgetting the actual name of the group that work at the university, and they actually spoke out against Butker. The president and other members of the administration are a bunch of cowards, and they haven't said anything.
The NFL came out too as well. The NFL came out and has a statement as well too.
I'm going to announce something on this show right now. Okay, let's start a trend here, maybe, Chris. Anytime you see someone as being a racist or a bigot, just say they're a Butker. I'm going to use that every time. If you got Butkered, you're a Butker. The Klan is a bunch of Butkers. I'm sorry. I'm just going to start doing that all the time.
And Shaq, Fernando, we haven't even gotten into the point that we use the word hypocrisy, right? This whole show we've been talking about hypocrisy.
Yeah.
His own family, his mother is an absolutely accomplished woman who is not just a stay-at-home homemaker. In her life, she was, she's a very educated, career woman. So it's not like it's so preposterous on every level that Harrison Butker is going to take this viewpoint and have this idea about American women when his own mother doesn't even conform to what he was talking about.
Anything that is homophobic or racist or chauvinistic, you were going to call it a Butker. We're going to start a trend here. Hashtag Butker. Thank you for the phone call, Fernando. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Fernando.
702-221-7283. Let's go to Shay, who's next up on PTL. What's up, Shay?
What's going on?
Hey, Shay.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can.
Go right ahead.
This question's for Chris. Chris, you're a Democrat, right?
I am. Yes.
So you see what's going on with the Gaza protests and what's going on with the campuses and everything.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you something. For the 2028 primary, do you think we're going to start seeing like the dwindling of these establishment Democrats? Because I think these younger voters are going to be the most important vote to this party in the coming years.
Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody like a Joe Biden, which don't get me wrong, he's not a left. He's more like a right wing Democrat.
You're right. Yep.
He's a watered down mansion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that I pointed out on last week's show, I talked about this as far as up and coming Democrats, right? And people I think are going to end up taking the mantle, right? Because look, let's face it, Joe Biden's an older guy, obviously, right? It's a major tenet of this election. But there are people out there, like I mentioned, Shapiro in Pennsylvania, Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. I think Hakeem Jeffries is going to be a major figure in the Democratic Party moving forward up into 2028 and into 2032. And then, of course, Gavin Newsom in California, right? And you talk to any Republican and their head explodes when you bring up Gavin Newsom as being someone who's going to be in the forefront when it comes to the Democratic Party. So those are some names. There's also some others out there as well, too. Stacey Abrams in Georgia, right, is another name who's someone. So I think your question is you're bringing up Gaza because you think there's going to be some type of radical portion of the Democratic Party that's going to kind of overtake these people in this party? Is that why you brought that question up because of protest or no?
I think these younger voters I think the Democratic Party is no longer the African American vote. I think it's more of the younger voters in general for this party. And what I'm seeing is that this administration is kind of, I don't know, it's like they're giving them the middle finger, basically.
Well, hold on.
Because Joe Biden would.
Let me ask you about that.
Well, no, this I'll transfer. Well, no, you go ahead, Brian. You can ask. Let me make a real quick comment though. If you're talking about who is better when it comes to African Americans in America, do you honestly believe that the Republican Party is better than the Democratic Party? It's a very simple.
Oh no, absolutely
Okay, so
not.
then,
I'm talking about younger voters, minorities. That's what I'm talking about. Especially the 18 to 35. Let's put it like that.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, between 18 and 21, a lot of us didn't vote when we were that age, right? And look, there's more people that are younger age nowadays that are more engaged in the process of voting than they were back in I mean, look, I'm going to date myself, obviously. I was 18 back in 1988. So back when I was a younger person, I didn't care about politics. I wasn't voting necessarily until I was in my 30s, right? My point being is that it's not necessarily a demographic that is going to shape the Democratic Party, the vote from 18, as you point out, to 35. It's more about the people that are older than that. But I understand the direction the question you're trying to ask. I do understand it. But Brian, you had a question for me?
I'm sorry to interrupt the Chris Wynn Show. May I ask a question? Is that okay?
He's being sarcastic,
Yeah.
caller. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Chris Wynn Show. Well, I will say this quickly, though. The Republican Party in 2028, look out for rising stars like Lauren Boebert, Kid Rock, the McCloskeys, and Kyle Rittenhouse. Those are wonderful.
Eric Trump?
Yeah, those are
Eric
people.
or Donald Trump
Those
Jr.?
are people that are just wonderful for black people. But I will.
Brian.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I've told you this constantly. It's getting harder. This year by year by year, it's getting harder for this Republican Party to win as the years go on.
Yeah. Sure.
They can no longer win with just they can no longer win with just the white race.
Oh, I agree with you, but I agree with you, but here's the reality, right? Donald Trump's not going to get 20% of the black vote. I don't know what's going to happen in November. I have my opinions. He's not going to get more than 20% of the vote. The overwhelming majority of minorities in this country are not voting Republican. There are reasons for that and obvious reasons for that. If you just want to talk about policy, the Democrat Party has done far more for minorities in this country. Just from a policy financial standpoint, the Republican Party is known for their tax breaks for the rich. In fact, Donald Trump had the highest tax breaks for the top 1% in this country in the history of this country. That doesn't help minorities as a whole. And it's a good question that you ask. I understand where you're coming from with that question. It's a good one. But I can tell you right now, I guarantee you, I'll make a bet with anybody, Trump does not get more than 20% of the black vote.
No, I'm going to say no more than 10%.
Probably.
I'm going to say no more than 10%.
What did he get? 12, 13% in the last election?
You might be right.
I believe the key is if Joe Biden can keep 60% or 55% of the younger voters, I think he'll win.
He wins. I agree.
He'll win the election.
But he's got to do a better job at campaigning. He's got to be out there more. The vice president, Kamala Harris, needs to be out there more. They need to be doing interviews, younger people. They need to be out there campaigning harder. Don't make the same mistakes that Hillary Clinton made. You have to do a better job campaigning. They've done okay the last few weeks. I don't see the vice president out there enough. She needs to do more interviews. Joe Biden needs to do more interviews. And it's a great start that there's going to be a debate at the end of June. Let's get back to the calls. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you're next on PTL. What's up, my man?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good.
Two things. I think when you talk about the Ten Commandments in this, and I'm a person of faith, that's ridiculous to put the Ten Commandments up on a wall. That is absolutely insane.
Yep.
But it goes in line with these, I call them Pharisees or white Christian nationalists, whatever you want to call them, just these orange Cheeto-loving, kiss-butt Jesus Trump supporters call themselves Christians that wouldn't help a poor person if it was their mom. But every time, and it makes sense because every time you go to someone's profile, right, they're going to say, patriot, American flag, Christian, faith, God, freedom, right? If you have to tell somebody that you're a Christian, you're probably not.
I agree.
Right? And if you have to wear a shirt that says you're a patriot, you're probably not.
I could use another analogy. When you brag about how big your genitalia is, probably not. Donald Trump. I just wanted to throw
You talk
that
about
in.
how rich you are, right? And how much money you have in your bank account. You probably have less in your bank account than you actually do.
Very good analogy. I concur with that.
Yes.
And where were all these people that are worshiping their orange Jesus in New York when, like, Ahmaud Arbery is chased down by like 3 U.S. citizens, or
Right.
when George Floyd was killed, while 3 other U.S. citizens stood there and watched him die, or in Uvalde or Sandy Hook. Where were all of these quote-unquote self-proclaimed evangelical patriots that are so pro-life that they don't give a shit about a school shooting, but their orange Jesus who's raped a woman is on trial for paying off a porn star, and all of a sudden they lose their shit and they fly to New York and they hold up Congress?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Explain to me how we're supposed to find middle ground with these people.
These are some of the biggest hypocrites that this country has for us. And these people that are usually, they preach anti-gay rhetoric. Some of them are usually gay. These are the same people that talk about sin, and then they support Donald Trump, and they cheat on their wives or husbands left and right. They are the most despicable, hypocritical people that this country has to offer. It is a joke, and they want to talk about our teachers indoctrinating our kids. Let me tell you something. More children have been raped and sodomized in the churches than they have in public schools. That's for sure, or in restrooms, but they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about Donald Trump. They don't want to talk about all the sins that he has committed. They don't want to talk about the 25 plus women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape. They don't want to talk about the fact that the judge characterized it as being a rapist in a courtroom. No, they don't want to talk about these things. The scumbag who has lived his entire life. Oh, but he's so nice behind closed doors. Who gives a crap? He is a liable sexual abuser who has attacked our democracy and continues to do so, Paul.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is, listen, I love that you have different points of view, and you have a lot of reasonable Republicans. Because this has happened to my aunt, anybody that's going to support Trump, you can support whoever you want, but if you're going to support a guy that raped a woman, and I don't care if you like his policies, I don't care. That's like saying, oh, I'd support Hitler because my taxes were lower and gas was cheaper. That's an asinine argument. The man forced himself on a woman and ruin her life, but they're going to support it because the price of eggs were cheaper. And I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying anybody that still supports that because Joe Biden's old.
But hold on.
Okay, that is their argument, though. That's exactly the argument that they make.
I hear you, but I will give some Republicans credit. We had Boris Johnson in studio on Friday who said if Donald Trump is a convicted felon, he will not vote for him. Listen, I got to take that as a win. If you do have Republicans out there that are saying they're not going to vote for Trump if he's a convicted felon, then I do have some respect for that at least.
Okay. Well, okay, but let me ask you this, though. He's still going to support him after he's been found liable for raping Jean Carroll.
Well, you're not going to hear an argument from me there. I agree with you 150%.
That's what I'm saying.
I understand. I hear you. I'm just saying we got to take a little win when it happens, but I also understand. I understand. Yeah, I listen, I totally get where you're coming from, Paul. These people, it's mesmerizing. You have veterans, police officers, people who call themselves good, wholesome Christians who have never been in trouble with the law, and because their eggs, they want their eggs to be cheaper or whatever their reasoning behind it, they will support a liable sexual abuser. I just don't understand it, Paul.
Oh, I do, Brian.
I appreciate
and Paul,
the call, Paul. Thank you.
I know you said Paul's going to hang up, but look, the reason is because they rationalize around. They rationalize around. It's not even about Donald Trump, really. You know what I mean? It's about what Republicans can do when Donald Trump is in office, right? It's about things that they can get done from a governmental standpoint is how they rationalize, spin it around in their heads and say, you know what? Yeah, I don't like what Donald Trump says. I don't like him on Twitter. I don't like his attitude. I don't like him with his family. They don't like this, and this. But Republicans are going to get stuff done because he's going to have an R next to his name in the White House.
Thank you for the call, Paul. Great call. 702-221-7283. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Nellie, who's next up on PTL. Hello, Nellie.
Nellie.
Hey, it's Monday, and my favorite two buffoons are on the radio right now.
That's a double negative right there, right? Favorite two buffoons? That's double negative.
It's a term of endearment.
Yes. Okay.
We're branding for the show. It's fantastic.
What do you got for us, Nelly?
Speaking of branding for the show, we should change the pushing the limits to the Chris Wynn show and have the Caveman Kino T-Rex with the volcano behind it.
On Mondays, baby. We should do that on Mondays.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I like it.
But seeing how it's a C-Win show, I have a question for C-Win today.
Okay.
The Harrison Butker convention speech.
Yes.
You said it was anti-Semitic.
Yes.
Could you explain about on that?
Okay, well, I did kind of explain it already. I can repeat it again. His comments regarding who killed Jesus, right? It was I was meandering about over the weekend, Nilly, as you are well aware, and catching some shows, and that was a direct shot at Jewish people because of because of the Bible and killing Jesus, and it was essentially an anti-Semitic direct shot at Jewish people and a criticism for Jewish people because of killing Jesus. That's why. Okay.
I think you're incorrect. I think it's a shot.
I'm not incorrect. No, time out. Look, I understand you might think but you're just wrong.
Well, let him explain
I'm exactly
why.
correct.
Okay,
That's
hold
why
on.
I brought it up.
All right, hold on.
It's not a question of it's not a debate.
Okay,
it's not a matter of opinion.
All right, well, hold
you're
on.
wrong.
Okay,
and I happen to be right about this.
Let's find out.
Yeah,
hold on. Time out. Let's find out
go ahead.
why Nelly disagrees with you. Nelly,
Why
go
do you
ahead.
disagree?
I think it's a shot at that new HR 6090 bill, which includes anybody accusing Jews as a people being responsible for the real or imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Jewish person or group. That is reference to that new law or bill that's being passed. That's what he's making a shot at.
Okay, so what is your interpretation? So again, I don't know why I have to keep saying this. What are you interpreting? You're interpreting it as I'm telling you. Look, this isn't Chris Wynn's opinion, okay? I'm talking about multiple people over the weekend that I saw that happen to be Jewish.
I'm talking about you.
Okay?
I'm talking about multiple people.
Well, I'm not
talking about
Jewish, so I'm not.
The Chris Wynn show.
It's not the Chris Wynn show. It's I'm on the show
Today it is.
with
Yeah,
Brian
today it is.
Shapiro.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Yes, it's not the Chris Wynn show, but it's not my opinion. Okay, it is multiple Jewish people who I was catching on national television over the weekend.
Okay, but hold on.
Talking about this.
I'm
and by the
Jewish.
way, it's only one aspect of the Harrison Butker situation and his
Well, that
speech.
was the one you said. You said it was anti-Semitic.
Well, no, I said a lot of things about the Harrison Butker speech.
Regardless,
Yes.
let me make a statement
So,
now.
yeah.
I know it's the Chris Wynn show. Let me chime in here real quick,
okay,
if that's okay. So, Nelly, would you agree with me, regardless of what religion you are or your interpretation of whether he said something anti-Semitic or not, can you agree with me that Butker's comments as a whole, going after the gay community, which he did, and I have the quote, or the things he said about women in general terms, were bigoted in nature? Can we agree on that?
I think your term of bigoted is anything you disagree with.
So you can't answer the question.
Not true.
I disagree.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Let me respond to that. My definition of bigotry is the actual definition of bigotry, which is if you take a group of people based on what they look like or their sexuality and you judge them, or in this case, quote, call them death sinners because they're different than you, and you treat them differently and you judge them and you talk about that and you demean them in a negative way, that is the actual definition of bigotry. It would be no different than if a white player or a black player, let me give you the other way around. If a black player in a commencement speech said, all white people are ugly. I don't like all white people because they're white. They're death sinners. If a black guy said, all white people are death sinners because my religion tells me that. Hold on. No, don't wait a minute, me. What do you mean, wait a minute? I'm giving you my
He's schooling you right now. Nilly, you need to listen.
Don't wait.
Hold
on. I'm going to ask you a question now. I'm going to ask you a question now. Tell me the difference between Harrison Butker calling those in the gay community death sinners and a black person. Hold on, let me finish. Yes, he was talking. Yes, it is. Look it up if you don't believe me. It's not my fault. It's not my fault you listen to Matt Walsh.
Or you can just go on YouTube and watch the entire speech.
I'm going to answer
Nilly,
his question.
You go on YouTube
he was
and
talking.
watch.
Hold on, Chris. He was talking about the Gay Pride Parade and anybody who either endorses or is a part of the Gay Pride Month. I should say, not the parade. The Gay Pride Month. He quoted them as, quote, death sinners. What is the difference between that and if a black person, hypothetically, at a commencement speech said, all white people are death sinners because of the color of their skin? Can you please explain to me what the difference is? They're both bigoted in nature. That's why he's a bigot.
I think you're missing this part of his speech that he's trying to make. He's trying to make that all the mothers, the most proudest part.
Not talking about mothers. I'm talking about his statement about gay people. That's a different part. That's a different part of his speech, and I didn't ask you about what his take was. That's irrelevant. Hold on.
What is he talking about?
Nelly, that is irrelevant to my question. I'm not talking about the part of the speech that was also controversial about mothers. That's a different entity. I'm specifically talking about his statement about the gay community and those who celebrate Gay Pride Month. So I ask you once again, when you take which you're not answering, by the way, when you take a group of people,
I don't remember.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault that you don't remember it. Answer the question,
It's
okay?
a very simple question.
I don't care whether you remember it or not. I'm telling you that's what he said.
So you don't think Harrison Butker's comments were bigoted, Mark Nilly? You don't think they were bigoted?
I don't. He said the word death sinners.
I just asked you a very simple question, Brian, and you asked him it like 3 times. I'll ask it again real quick, and then we got to get you off the air, bro. Okay. Do you think a lot of the comments that Harrison Butker made in his convention speech, which you can go back and watch on YouTube, is 22 minutes of it plus. You can go watch the entire thing so you can get a view. So you should probably do that. Do you think that any of his comments were bigoted in nature?
Any of it could be consorted as something, but most of it, no.
What do you mean consorted?
Okay, so I guess you just answered it by saying, yes, some of it is, but most of it
All right,
is
well, here's
no.
what I'll
Is
say.
that his answer?
He used the word
Getting a straight answer out of you is like
here's what I will say.
pulling teeth.
I have
It's
the final
completely
word.
ridiculous.
I have the final word. now.
Answer
Here's
the
what
question.
I think. I'm going to answer it. Here's what I think. I think
It's
that
like talking
people.
to-
I think that people who call into the show named Nelly, where they're asked a question 7 times, and they refuse to answer it, are death sinners. Nelly, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Death
come
Sinner,
on,
for the
man.
phone call.
It was so, Brian, you asked him very simple questions, no answer. He wants to say, I don't think your definition of bigoted is correct, or I don't think your view of being bigoted is correct. I asked him a very simple question like 3 times in about
He won't
15
answer it.
seconds,
And
and,
that's
he
what-
couldn't even answer it. He could not even bring himself to answer a very simple question that is easily answerable. It's that, yes,
So
he did make comments that were
interesting
bigoted
because we have
in the
somebody on
speech.
social media that's saying we're bigots, and I would like
No,
to
not.
ask, what did I say
Yeah,
that would lead you to
call
believe that I'm
in.
a bigot? No, they won't do that because they're cowards. We're getting butkered. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Lauren, who's next up on PTL. What's up, Lauren?
Hey, Lauren.
Hi. What I wanted to point out is that a lot of times when we're having discussions dealing with church and state, there is nothing in the Constitution about a separation of church and state. There's absolutely nothing in there.
So where did that saying come from?
It came from a letter that Thomas Jefferson had written, but it had nothing to do with the Constitution.
So when the Constitution was written, that was written where many of the people who put that Constitution together claimed that black people were only 3/5 of a human being. So are we going to live and die by the
Do you know
Constitution?
why that is?
Well, yeah, I think
Do
so,
you know
because
why?
black people were owned and they were slaves, and that was okay
Well,
back
actually,
then.
that's not accurate.
Okay, so why did they say so? Regardless of why it was
Why did
said,
they say that?
Okay. What does it matter why they said it? It's wrong and it's abhorrent. What does it matter why they said it?
But-
Why can't you just say,
Well-
yeah, you're
well,
right,
I
Brian?
think a lot.
Yeah, they can't.
I think
They
a
can't
lot of. I think a lot of times. Through the decades or hundreds of years, where we were not aware of what was going on during that period of time about the whole situation.
Okay,
We know bits
whether
and
that's
pieces.
whether that's true or not, when those founding fathers wrote the Constitution, they were wrong. In I think we all could agree on that, unless you're a butker, that black people are not 3/5 of a human being. So I get kind of tired.
Agreed.
Okay,
Agreed.
so here's why I bring that up. When people want to talk about the Constitution and live and die by the Constitution or the Bible or whatever, guess what? I don't live by the Constitution, okay? I don't. They had muskets back then. Black people were owned. They're not 3/5 of a human being. So give me a better argument than citing the Constitution.
No,
please,
but Brian, let's ask him flat out. Lauren,
No,
Lauren, let me ask you
how
flat
is
out.
it
Lauren,
getting to a
because
better-
you pose a question. Let me ask you flat out. Okay, so you pose this issue regarding the separation of church and state. So I'll ask you. So you don't think there should be a separation of church and state in the United States of America?
Good question.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. I believe there is. I'm just saying that.
Well, there definitely is.
It's like.
You know the reason why I asked you that question, right?
You
know the reason why I asked you.
People are constantly putting out misinformation that it's in the Constitution when it's not. That's my point.
I never brought up the Constitution. You did.
No, I'm not talking about in the discussion of other people that have called in today.
I'm going to be honest with
And
you,
on
Lauren.
numerous
I hear you.
occasions,
I hear what you're saying. So, Lauren, I just
I'm
get
not-
frustrated.
It's not a got you thing. I'm
I
not
understand.
trying to do that.
I understand, Lauren. All I'm saying is, and in regards to the Constitution, because you brought it up, when we talk about gun control or we talk about a woman's right to choose, any of those issues, I get very frustrated when people talk about the Constitution or when people bring up the Bible. The Bible, if people want to live their life through the Bible, that's up to them. But I don't like it when people push that stuff on me. Yes, do I believe in the right to bear arms? Do I believe that people have the right to defend themselves? Yes, but they had muskets back then. They thought black people were 3/5 of a human being. I don't care why they said it. The bottom line is they said it. So I'm not going to live and die by the Constitution. I'm not going to live and die by the Bible. I think ultra-religious people are mentally ill. Yes, I do. They separate women and men in church. They separate women and men in synagogues. They treat women. They look down upon women just like Butker did in his commencement speech. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of every religion saying that my religion is right and you're wrong. Billions of people have died in the world because of religion. I am not an atheist, but guess what? I don't live my life based on what's in a book, the 10 Commandments, or what's in the Constitution. I live my life as the way I was raised and what I think is right and wrong, not what someone else thinks is right and wrong. That's how I live my life, Lauren.
And Lauren, you didn't pose the question in a way that was a gotcha question, but you do understand that the way you presented it, right? When you present it that way, and you say, hey, well, you guys realize that there's nothing in the Constitution that says that there should be a separation of church. You do understand that you are essentially giving the impression that you do not believe that there should be a separation between church and state. You do understand
No,
that, right?
I was just simply stating a fact that it's not in the Constitution.
Okay, and by the way, I haven't read. It's been about 57 months since I've read the Constitution.
With the issue of the 3/5 thing,
yeah,
it was based on slavery. There was a count of representatives that were going to be going into the Congress and the Senate.
Yeah.
Okay, and what that was based on is there were over 1 million slaves in the South at that time. So if they would have allowed people to be counted as full humans, for lack of a better word,
we know it was wrong. It was wrong.
Okay.
I mean, we don't need to expand on it anymore. But
the point is those in the North predominantly were not in favor of slavery, even though there were slave owners in the North as well. But the bottom line was they did not want to continue slavery.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
While that very much might be true, I don't live my life based on what's in, I don't whether it be the Constitution or the 10 Commandments or the
history.
Bible.
That's all it is.
I just
Brian,
don't.
it's just history.
Yeah, well, I understand that, and guess what? A lot of that history, a lot of people on the far right want out of our school systems. They don't want it. I appreciate the call, Lauren. Let's go to Damon. Damon's next on PTL. Hi, Damon. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian, how you doing? The
Good.
term separation of church and state is not in the Constitution, but one of the first things it says is Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion.
Right.
Yeah.
Meaning no religion will be involved in this government. So the words that's just splitting hairs. Those words aren't in it, but they said flat out we ain't going to adhere to a religion. And secondly, when it comes to that 3/5 compromise,
yeah,
they actually thought we were 0/5 of a person. The only reason they did the 3/5 compromise is why I don't understand why they go to this argument is for political gain. They were getting money from that. That's the only reason they would give us 3/5. They really thought we were 0/5. So that argument makes no sense. That was just purely for money.
Hey, listen.
Well, he started getting into the details, right, Brian, and to the caller about how there's 2 million black people down in the South, and so he was getting into dicey territory there. I was trying to save him a little bit because it was getting into a situation where you're trying to make the case, bro, and we can just all agree that it was completely wrong, right, and that black people were wronged in America.
People are
in
entitled.
Situation.
People are
Just leave it at
entitled.
that. Yeah.
People are entitled to their opinions, and I'm certainly entitled to mine. I'm going to tell you something. These Bible thumpers out there, they're mentally ill people.
Yeah.
Okay, you're mentally
They
ill.
want to rewrite history, though, Brian. They want to rewrite history.
Of
and I'm a
course they
student
do.
of history.
No doubt.
So when I hear that, it's crazy.
Make
They did not
America-
like the
it-
South thought we were 3/5 of humans.
It says
They
it
didn't think
all.
that much.
It says it all. Make America great again. You know what that means? Let's get America back to the days where black people and women weren't allowed to vote. There are actually people that are saying that out loud. That's what the Make America slogan means to me when people make those claims. When was America great? When we owned black people, when women weren't allowed to vote, when black people had to be in the back of buses and had to use different drinking fountains. When exactly was America great again? You know,
right? It was back in the 1950s, Brian, when Harrison Butler wants to take us all back, right? When women were in the household, that's it. They were homemakers, that's it.
Exactly.
Careers.
When Fred Trump was being arrested at Klan rallies, was that when America was great again? These buffoons. Anyway, thank you for the call, my friend. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Carl. Carl's next on PTL. What's up, Carl?
Hey, Carl.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Some people have already spoken about it, but you brought up about the schools and religion being brought into schools. There's nothing wrong with it if it's a private religious school.
Absolutely,
you can have whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about public schools. It just doesn't work, because what religion is dominant in a public school? It doesn't seem to work that well.
Yeah,
it's kind of ridiculous, and you're not supposed to. As far as separation of church and state, well, it really isn't in the Constitution. But a state should not. There should not be a state religion.
Yeah.
That's what happens with dictatorships. They start. Whether it was in Nazi Germany, they had a state religion, which was a person. And who do I think about when I think about that? Who do you pray? Who do the far right and the MAGAs want to pray to as a religious figure, and compare them to Jesus?
No, I'm with you.
He can fix everything, right, Carl? Yeah. He's the one person to look to right all the wrongs in America. Right, Carl? That's the deal.
Yeah, that's exactly the deal. Carl, I appreciate the call. By the way, Nellie, who called into the show before, just sent me a text message calling me a liar. I am now going to read the word verbatim, quote, what Butker said, because obviously Nellie is very uneducated and doesn't understand, can't separate fact from fiction or church from state.
Did he not just turn on YouTube,
I'm going to read it right,
and watch the actual speech?
This class, this generation, the time in our society must stop pretending that the things we see around us are normal. And speaking specifically about the gay pride and the sin of pride, he took a shot at Pride Month. Quote, "The death sinner's sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it, but the true God-centered pride that is cooperating with the Holy Ghost to glorify him." That is a quote from the commencement speech. It's not my fault that this guy, Nelly, who calls into the show, is so dumb that doesn't understand that I don't make things up like he does. And the fact that it has 6 or 7 times we have to ask the same question over and over again to these MAGAs. And make no mistake about it, this guy, Nelly, who calls into the show, absolutely will vote for Donald Trump over Joe Biden. He watches Matt Walsh 24/7. And listen, people that are radicalized by this sort of stuff, that believe that, black people bad, white people good, straight people good, gay people bad, or transgenders, oh my God, they're going to rape our kids in bathrooms. Yeah. But then when we have a straight person or a person born a man or a woman raping a child, they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. But the less than 1% of people out there that might be transgender, that might commit a horrible crime, let's just focus on that. It's the Vivek Ramaswamis of the world. If a transgender person commits a horrible shooting and kills innocent people, let's just talk about that and make it like all transgenders are mass shooters. These people are bigoted in nature. And yes, I'm sorry to say, but Nelly, who called into the show, is a Butker. Nelly Butker, we're going to call him. I'm sorry. That's what we're going to do.
New nicknames all around, baby.
Nelly
on a Monday.
We got Butkered, ladies and gentlemen.
By
the way,
you got a new nickname coming your way.
I read the direct quote from the speech. It's not my fault that you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I don't make stuff up on this show, okay? I don't do my research from Matt Walsh and OAN and Newsmax, okay? That's not right. Or InfoWars. I don't get my information from those sources. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kava. Kava is next up on PTL. What's up, Kava?
Hey, Kava.
Hi, Brian. How you guys doing today?
Hey, good, man. What's on your mind?
So I just want to address something you said earlier when you said you've had it with MAGA. I just want to address something that I've heard MAGA people saying the past few days, and I don't know if you've heard this, Brian, but a lot of MAGA are saying that black people didn't create music, that they didn't do anything, that they created all the issues in this country. And to be quite frank with all of you, I'm sick of it. I've absolutely had it with these idiots. I'm sorry, but MAGA, I know you guys are listening because Brian's already had to call you out along with Chris Wynn. We've all had to call you people out more times than we should. So once again,
they're death sinners. They're death sinners.
If you guys don't like us, that's your problem. You should deal with it and keep crying because we're not going anywhere, like it or not. The LGBTQIA plus community is going to continue to exist, like it or not.
Yeah.
We're going to continue calling you guys
Hey,
out.
Kava, you know
like
who the real death sinners are? I'm going to tell you who. Lauren Boebert, Moscow Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, Gymnasium Jordan, James Comer. They are the death sinners. The Tucker Carlsons, the Sean Hannitys, the Mark Levins. That squeaky moron. There are some hosts in this town. I'm not even going to say their name. They're so despicable and irrelevant. But like these are the death sinners of our society. Not because somebody happens to be gay. They're not death sinners at all. In fact, I have a lot of friends of mine that are gay that are wonderful people. Okay? It's ridiculous.
So that should prove it right there. I'm LGBTQIA plus, and if they don't like it, that's their problem. MAGA, if you don't like us, you guys can leave.
Yeah.
You guys complain about us.
Go to another country. Go move to Russia. Go live in a cave in Afghanistan. Go to Gaza. Get the hell out of this country. You bigoted butkers. Bigoted butkers. Yeah, I just made up another one.
That's good stuff right there, Brian. I like that. Hey, Kav, I'll make one statement, right? The Republicans should be thanking their lucky stars because if the Electoral College was not something that was in existence right now, let me tell you something. Republicans would never win another election, ever.
I agree.
Oh, please, oh, God, can we just kick them all out? Can we just ban Republicans
Send them to
from
Russia.
voting?
I'm telling you, send them to
Oh,
Russia.
look, I don't want to kick them out,
Yeah,
but
send them to Russia.
But hey, you know,
send them to Sean Combs' home. Send them there. Yeah, send them there. Thank you for the call, Kava. And by the way, I appreciate all the calls. Always fun to take an hour of phone calls from people from all over the country, men, women, because we're not bigoted. We're not butkers. We take calls from all sorts of different people, even people who call into the show that are very stupid. We still take
And if
calls.
we're bigots, Brian Shapiro, call in or text us and tell us what we're bigots about. Okay, actually bring something to the table and show us if we're being bigots. I want to know if we're bigots, Brian, right? I want to know. I want to know what aspects of life I'm being bigoted on.
Here's a double entendre. Here's who I'm bigoted against, if you want to call me a bigot.
What?
I'm bigoted against racist people.
There you go.
I'm bigoted against homophobic people. I'm bigoted against people out there that want to tell other people what to do. And I'll leave it at that and leave the segment at that, Chris Wynn. Here's what I want to do when we come back. But before I do that, I got to talk to you guys. We have some massage music. Sounds like the Karate Kid, too. I was just watching that on Encore yesterday, by the way. Wax on, wax off, Mr. Miyagi.
Good movie.
So, Chris, we love Jackson's Bar and Grill.
We do.
Right? Located at Flamingo and Jones. I'm going to give you another opportunity to do a live read right now on the spot.
Jackson's Bar and Grill, located on Jones, of the corner of Jones and Flamingo. Tremendous gaming opportunities there. Tuesdays, if you have your TAM card on you, folks, $50 in free play there at Jackson's. All the games, all the TVs there, of course, an assortment of gaming options, whether you like your Keno, you like your poker and beyond. Of course, the menu selection, outstanding when you're talking about the ribeye steak there, which is always a big favorite. And I believe on Mondays, right? Prime rib on Mondays, I believe as well, too. So menu is outstanding, tremendous option, and a great spot to hit up for all your gaming and sports viewing options. It's Jackson's Bar and Grill, located on the corner of Jones and Flamingo.
Wow, I'm going to give that a solid B+. That was really good.
You're a hard grader.
That was better than the last live read you did. You're getting better. You just need a little practice. That's all I think.
Brian Smith likes it. Jackson's Bar and Grill.
That was
free play.
a really, really good live read. I would say he did a pretty
B+.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Well, listen, you could have been a little louder.
You're kind of like the 10-year-old kid that's judging the guy that's teaching medical school about medicine.
Yeah.
But that's fine. All right.
Well, if I'm a 10-year-old kid, then you must be attracted to me because apparently that's what the right wingers do. They call liberals all pedophiles. So I don't know.
Got the music
that must
going.
be true.
They got the calm down music going.
We do. All right.
One thing you're not bigoted about, though, Brian, and it's leading into the segment, you're not bigoted about number one golfers in the world getting arrested, right?
No. Scotty Scheffler, what a crazy story. We're going to talk about that. Took a new twist in the PGA Championship. It was fun. We're going to get into that a little bit when we come back. And, of course, NBA action. Oh, boy, looking forward to it. Boy, some fun NBA basketball watching yesterday, I'll tell you. I was right about one game. I was wrong about the other. We'll talk about that when we come back. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey accumulates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
I am Eva Olivia Chase, candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, Democrat with progressive ideas, including a woman's right to choose, public money for public schools, student debt relief reduction, and forgiveness. As a trans woman and a veteran, I will fight to protect the democracy of our country. Vote and support Eva Olivia Chase for Nevada State Assembly District 16.
Residents of Las Vegas, Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your people's choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media, or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
My name is Kola Akimbade. I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas. As mayor, we will offset the off-season by diversifying our economy, bringing technology, high-paying jobs, and strengthening our entertainment industry. In order to tackle this issue of homelessness, we need new money because the budget will never be enough. Therefore, we will legalize prostitution and tax money will flow. Today, go to our website, Kola, K-O-L-A, kolaformayor.com, and my phone number, 725-263-2660. Support our campaign and donate today. Again, kolaformayor.com at 725-263-2660. My name is Kola Akimbade, and I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. And boy, what a, we talk all about, news, politics, and stories over the weekend, but pretty fun sports weekend as well. Let me start with the golf. Obviously, I talked about this on Friday and Thursday.
It was fascinating, actually. I did watch and listen, Brian, to you addressing this in real time. You want to talk about one of the most bizarre just episodes in golf history, right, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this last week, and we know what happened where Scheffler is it's a horrible situation where a man lost his life crossing the street trying to get to the golf tournament. Terrible. Loses his life, and police are investigating. And Scheffler, my understanding, based on what witnesses have talked about, is that one officer was telling him to go one way, another officer was telling him to go another way, and the officer that told him to go the other way got upset, gets on his car, which is absolutely ridiculous, gets on his hood based on what witnesses said, and I believe the witnesses, not the police report. And Scheffler, officer got on his hood, and it appears as though, like what Scheffler said, a misunderstanding. I think an officer, at least one of the officers here, overstepped his bounds big time. And then he's in a jail cell. And I thought the craziest part of a press conference when Scheffler was talking about it was that he didn't know if he was going to be playing Friday morning, but he was doing stretching exercise in his cell before his tee time. He shows up less than an hour before he's supposed to tee off. And most people that follow the PGA Tour would tell you most of these guys get there 2-3 hours before their tee time. And then he goes out and goes 4 or 5 under, which is absurd. And Scheffler still played well. It's the week that could have been for him. I mean, he was I think he was still top 20 and could have easily won. And there's no question that affected him in some ways, but he's pretty much unflappable. As far as the tournament is concerned, nice to see Bryson DeChambeau right there in the mix. He was tied for the lead. It went to 18 when Xander Schauffele, who I've always considered the last several years anyway, is probably the best player in the world that's never won a major yet. He's a gold medalist in the Olympics. He's a hell of a player, and he lives here in Vegas, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. Hell of a player. So congratulations to Xander Schauffele for winning the PGA Championship and getting that first major. There'll be plenty more to come. He's a heck of a player. I'm not going to go as far as to say he's a top 10 player in the world, but he's top 20 for sure. And it's a big deal for him. He played really well yesterday, and he made me a few bucks.
Lowest round also in 4 rounds, right, in a major as well, too, as far as going as low as Xander Schauffele did. So that was impressive to be able to set that record. No question about it. Yeah. But going back to what was transpiring on Friday, right? I mean, it was just a kind of extraordinary situation, right, where you have a horrific, tragic accident, right, where somebody loses their life, and it happens to be just outside of a major championship of what's going down. And then you get a player arrested, right, by the Louisville Police Department. And it's one thing if it would have been like, I don't know, the 150th player in the world, right, Brian? Or just somebody else that wasn't necessarily. It happened to be the number one player in the world that gets arrested. And then it was kind of bizarre because he ends up going to jail, right? They book him. He's in his orange shirt, taking his mug shot. And then however things get worked out, look, I mean, I don't know about you, and not to get into the weeds about this whole thing, but like I would think that if it was Brian Shapiro or Chris Wynn or Justin Chuck, like you wouldn't have got out of jail that quickly, right? Like you wouldn't be able to make your tee time, which essentially was what? Like basically an hour after he gets out of jail and gets taken in another courtesy SUV back to the tournament, gets onto the range, right, and on the putting green for about 45 minutes, and then ends up teeing off. And ESPN carried all this coverage, by the way, right up to his first shot. ESPN was not scheduled to have the coverage of the tournament, so they did take it up to him hitting his first shot off the tee on Friday. It was just bizarro world how that all transpired. And I think at the end of the day, look, I'm in agreement pretty much with what you think is going to happen here, I think, where the charges will get dropped. It'll be looked at like a misunderstanding situation where there was a chaotic situation, obviously, where you've got an accident scene and maybe you had police officers, law enforcement that weren't on the same page, right? One person might have told him to go in the median and go around it. The other guy didn't want him to do it and then got a little aggressive and over the top with it a little bit. I think at the end of the day, that's what's going to happen.
I think it speaks volumes about.
But I don't want to take it too far. I will say this when it comes to, and I think this is a lesson, right? It has nothing to do with Scottie Scheffler being the number one player in the world. I don't care if it's Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus or Arnold Palmer, okay? If, again, when I say lesson, all right, if you're at an accident scene, all right, listen to law enforcement, all right? do what law enforcement says. They tell you to stop. You don't have to big time anybody. You don't have to take that approach. Okay. That's just a lesson I think that we should get out of this. And by the way, I thought that Scotty Scheffler was very gracious and very professional the way he handled this. And he looked at it. He said, look, he said, I just hope to play well and kind of focus on my second round going into this. And I thought the way he handled it throughout the weekend was also great too, where he looked at it more like a misunderstanding, didn't want to just lambaste the Louisville Police Department, because he doesn't know about the procedures or what it is that they engaged in. And so I think at the end of the day, it'll all end up being just a big nothing burger, essentially.
I think it says a lot about the officer who put in the report and made the arrest, where he was complaining about how he scruffed up his $80 pants that I'm sure he didn't have to pay for. He put that in the police report.
Well, I don't know.
He put that in the police report of how much his pants were worth. Very, very strange and odd. And we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But yeah, as I've said before, I expect the charges to be dropped. Maybe he'll be cited with a ticket or something, but we'll have to wait and see. Scheffler is the number one golfer in the world for a reason, and it just doesn't seem like much of anything phases the guy. He still played some pretty good golf. He had one bad round on
66
Saturday.
that day.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
He played well yesterday as well. So so he made me a few bucks as well. From the other side, the NBA. I was right. I called it. I think Indiana Pacers are the better basketball team. And boy, did they prove it. What a big win for them. On the road in MSG to beat the Knicks. Halliburton was fantastic. They shot lights out. And Rick Carl's a phenomenal basketball coach. So on that side of the coin, you have Indiana playing the Celtics. I thought that Denver would win the game yesterday, and they were up 20 points at one point in the second half. And you got to give all the credit in the world to Minnesota. Their best player did not play very well. Edwards did not play very well, but Minnesota's defense is the best defense in the league. Better that the Celtics are pretty good defensively. Minnesota is really good defensively. They're the best defensive team I've seen in a long time. And they just gave the defending champions a lot of problems yesterday on their home floor. They just couldn't score. For most of the series, they couldn't score. The games they won, they shot the ball well. But, boy, they really struggled yesterday. And all the credit in the world to the Timberwolves. I think this is good for the NBA. To have a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves back in the equation here, the final four teams left standing, is really cool. So congratulations to a really good coaching staff. And a really good basketball. Nice to see Mike Conley in the midst too. He's been in the NBA for a long time. He's in his mid-30s, and to see him finally win a Game 7, I was really happy for him as well. So as it's lined up right now, it's the Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's the Celtics and the Pacers, as I have said 6 months ago, and I'm sticking to my guns right now. For lack of a better term, I do think the Celtics are going to win the championship. I do think the Dallas Mavericks are going to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think Luka Doncic is going to be the best player on the floor. You can make the case for Edwards. That's my opinion. I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to win. I think the Celtics beat the Pacers. I think it's Boston, Dallas in the NBA Finals, and I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and the boys get over the hump and win their first NBA championship together.
Yeah, quick take on this real quick as you're down to the end of the show here. Obviously, I think you're correct when it comes to the West. The NBA is happy. The NBA is not happy about what transpired in the East, obviously, because they had a matchup between two of the major markets on the East Coast in New York and Boston. And the Knicks, look, I'm not a Knicks fan, so I'm not an apologist for them, but I will say this. The Knicks had a ton of injuries, right? And, of course, it culminated with their best player, Jalen Brunson, breaking his hand in the second half. And it almost seemed like it was a death knell, right, to the New York Knicks. And you see Spike Lee and all the celebrity row down there at MSG just absolutely distraught after they see the star player go off the court for New York. So it's going to be a fun series, I think, particularly between Minnesota and the Mavericks. I tend to think that the Boston Celtics are clearly the best team in the East left. And no real disrespect to Indiana. I just feel that way about Boston. And I think it's going to be the team from Beantown that's going to be playing in the finals against either Minnesota or the Dallas Mavericks.
And there's a rumor I might be going to Game 3. So that would be very exciting. To watch my Boston Celtics in Indiana. So we'll see how that goes. Also, please check out my YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show. Subscribe. It's free. Again, at PTL Radio Show. As we speak right now, I have a new website that is in the works. And, Chris, you'll be able to purchase some Chris Wynn Show memorabilia, perhaps some pushing the
I'm going to be
limits.
pushing up against the logo, my friend. You're going to get me with my guns out.
Yes, that's
just
right.
Just showing off the strength, Nunchuck, as I usually do.
I'm very affable when it comes to social media, whether it be X or YouTube or wherever you're at. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Chris, thank you for being here on the Chris Wynn Show on a Monday, and we will see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for